Once you finish picking out the colleges that you want to apply to, see my last video. Now, the biggest hurdle, I think, is the personal statement. I consider myself a good writer, but when faced with this task, I knew I would have to get some help. So who did I enlist? Books. I read 2 books about writing a good college essay. Both of these books provided extremely valuable information, and I'll share what I've learned as we navigate this process together. So the first part of writing is actually getting an idea of what you want to write about. Take some time before you actually start writing to think up some topics, keeping the topics personal. After all, we are trying to craft a personal statement. The activity essentially is just thinking of yourself as a cartoon character. It helps you get a specific topic about yourself or that you do that you can focus on in your application. It's virtually impossible to show admissions officers all of who you are as a person. Once you have at least 20 topics, I know this sounds like a lot, trust me, it's necessary. You want to go in and start writing one of the topics one at a time. When you're writing, we want to be vivid and specific in our storytelling. You will hear this tip a lot. Everybody says this. And at first when I was told this, I did not understand what this meant, vivid and specific. But basically this just means describe everything in full. So you want to do person, place, setting. You want vivid description. You want the reader to feel like they're there with you. At least for the first 2 paragraphs of your essay. You don't have to be vivid all the time, because also you want to be reflective. A really big tip that I read from the book that Rachel Tor wrote: every time you make a statement, ask yourself, what did I mean by that? Or how did that person make me feel? You make a conclusive statement, explain what you mean by that. And Rachel Tor actually recommends write physically. By that, I mean when you're writing your draft. And it might sound clunky, it might sound a lot, but it will help you really become reflective of the things that you do and why you do them. Because these admissions officers, as they're reading our essays, they want to learn more about us to see if we would be a good fit at their school. But they can't really learn more about us if all we're saying is, I did this. This happened to me. Blah, 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 blah. But how did this make you feel? This activity exercise helps make a simple story turn into a more deeper personal one. Also, when you're writing your first draft, do not edit anything out. Just write. Write as much as you can remember about the event or the topic that you're writing about, and just keep writing until you can't add anything more about the event and topic. It doesn't have to be perfect. We just need some words on a paper to start. And once you're finished writing your first draft and you have no more thoughts to add, close your computer and walk away. Rachel Tor also gave this advice in her book, and I think it's very important. If you're gonna take anything from this video, please do this. Write your first draft and then forget about it. Forget about the draft, I think, for a week. Then, once it's been about a week, go back in and it's time to chop, chop, chop. Looking at your draft with fresh eyes, and I say fresh eyes because after a week, you've kind of forgotten what you wrote. You have a different perspective on things, so it's kind of fresh for you to see it after a week. And using these fresh eyes, it'll help you discern what is good, what is bad, and what is necessary. So when I edit, the first thing that I do is look at my essay as a whole, because a lot of the things that I see as a person who reads other people's essays or who just reads a lot is how something flows, how a piece of work flows can be very determinant on how I perceive it. So if something is flowing very well, it just helps me become more interested in it as a reader. And so I want that in my personal statement, because I want the admissions officers to be like, wow, this is interesting. This is unique, I want it to have that build up, have that momentum, and be something interesting to read. And also ask yourself, how does what I'm saying influence the reader? So you might think that the statements that you're making are not influential, but they are. How you say something can be very determinant on how someone perceives that something. So I like crushed ice. I like it a lot. But how I convey this hobby of mine can be very determinant of how the person that I'm sharing this with will influence their perception of this hobby of mine. So I could say, yeah, I love crushed ice. I love the feeling of just coldness in my mouth. It's just so refreshing and satisfying. Or I could also say, this habit is a very self-destructive habit of mine because ice can ruin your teeth and your enamel, and it's like grinding steel between your teeth because ice is very strong, but your teeth are also very strong. But eventually something's got to give, and sometimes it's your tooth. So you see how those two different perspectives of the same exact thing influence how my reader will see what I describe. Finally, what is your message? So in the end, you finish reading your whole entire essay. What exactly are you trying to tell the person who's reading this? Are you trying to tell this person, look at this passion of mine, or look at how this event changed me, or look at how where I was born really influenced who I am? So what exactly is your message? Figure that out. As you're editing, you should be like editing it to fit a message, really. And especially, I like to ask myself after reading my first draft, so what? I did all of this, I wrote all of this, what exactly does this add to my application that I think is like my application would be incomplete without? And why would an admissions officer take any interest in what I have to say? And is this essay an accurate portrayal of a facet of mine? So is it an accurate portrayal of one of my hobbies or one of my passions or where I'm from, or, you know, how these events of my life have shaped me? Is it accurate, you know? And all of these questions are things that I ask myself and I think of as I'm editing my draft. You also want to make sure you check for spelling and grammar, because that's a big thing. Make sure you use periods and capitalize at the front of the sentence, you know, basic things like that. But also make sure that your sentences make sense together, because your essay might be spell check correct, but when someone's actually reading it, it doesn't make sense. So make sure that's not you. And there's a 650 word limit on the personal statement on the Common App, so keep that in mind as you edit. And for me, once I finish editing that first draft for the day, I will close my computer, shut it down, go about my day, and come back the next day to look at it, to edit once again. I repeat this process: edit, close my computer, go do something else, come back until I feel like my essay is done, which is usually about another week of editing. Then I show it to my external editors, aka my parents. So the only reason I show my essay to my parents is for them to gauge whether my essay sounds like me. The biggest thing with my personal statement of what I'm scared of personally is I don't want my essay to sound generic. I don't want my essay to sound like anyone can write it. I want my essay to be super personal, and it might not be unique, but at least it will be me, and it'll be me sharing what I want to share, and it will sound like me. So once again, we want the essay to be personal but authentic. And what better person to ask for authenticity check than the people who raised me? And then once I get my parents' thumbs up, I have been showing my essay to one additional person, and this is someone who is going to college this fall. So she has just finished her admissions process, and she has a lot of tips and tricks to share, and she's super knowledgeable, and she's been really helpful in it. I just really love all the help that she's given me, and she has been an absolute godsend throughout this process, helping me edit my essays. And I trust her to be honest with me and to also help me not repeat myself throughout my essays. And that's basically it, how to write a good essay. But I also have 2 more additional tips to share with you that have to do with essay writing. So the first one is to read to steal. So if you're not a reader, the best way to become a better writer is to become a more avid reader. The more you read, the more you'll kind of understand this is good writing, this is bad writing, because you'll read good books and you'll read bad books. And in those good books, you want to read them and kind of see what are the good authors or good books doing differently than the bad authors and the bad books. Best way to become a better writer is to read more. So read more, see what good authors are doing, steal it, and see what bad authors are doing. Don't do it, okay? And by steal it, I don't mean steal an author's story, because that would be absolutely atrocious. Please do not steal anyone's work in your essay, but see what they're doing. What techniques are they using? How do they describe things? How do they use imagery? And how do they tell a story? And kind of take those techniques and apply those to your essay. And the last thing is, this is probably the most important, is to write about your topics in a way that only you can write about. So you might think that your topics are super personal, super unique, super authentic, but the fact of the matter is there's a lot of kids in the United States. And first of all, there's not even people just from the United States applying to college. Now you have to factor in international applications as well. So there's a lot of people that are applying to college in any given year. So the idea that you'll have a completely 100% unique topic is it's a pretty slim chance that you will have that. But with any topic that you do, you have to write about it in a way that only you can write about it. So yeah, you might have been a lifeguard this summer, but so were like thousands of other teens. What is something about lifeguarding that only you have to say, only you can convey or describe, or something that happened to you? Because chances are it didn't happen to another lifeguard. you know? But yeah, that's all I have for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, be sure to leave a like and comment down below. Subscribe. We're on our road to oh my god, we're already at 2,000 subscribers. We're on our road to 3,000 subscribers. That's a lot, but thank you guys so much, and I hope you enjoyed it and this was helpful. Yeah, bye.